Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's no special presentation, sir, or anything on the agenda. Public comment? Do we have anyone that would like to do a public comment? If not, we will not open. Move to
Alrighty. Does anybody have any consent items? Consent items they'd like to pull?
Not at this time.
If not, I will make a motion that we approve consent items 8.0 and 8.9.
Second?
been moved and seconded to approve consent items. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Hearings and appeals, we have none. Item 10 is report out of closed session, and based on the vote of the board, I've been asked by the attorney to read the following statement. By a vote of 4-0 with one absentation, the board voted in closed session to reject a portion of the government code claim dated May 28, 2025 by Ashley Amaro and Nikki Amaro related to the causes of action that occurred on and after November 28, 2024. The board did not take action on the portion of the claim related to the causes of action that accrued before November 28, 2024. That's our report.
Was your mic on?
Yes, thank you. So that's an information item. The next is an information item, which is the budget update.
Thank you. Tonight, there's a budget update. So the governor signed into law on July 1st of this new school year and fiscal year the enacted state budget. So when we brought our school district budget to the board that you adopted on June 18th, that was based on the governor's May revision of what he thought his budget would look like. This is now what's been signed into law, and there have been some changes. I'm just going to give you a brief overview. When we come to the board in August, we will have what's called the 45-day revise for the budget, and it will outline financially the changes of what this enacted budget is providing or changed. So the main thing that affects us is it didn't remain is the 2.3% COLA cost of living adjustment. That stayed the same. The changes that happened were that there's some good news, that there's some one-time funds. So one of them is the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, which we weren't sure if the legislature was going to approve, say they liked that along with the governor. They did. So it's money that's owed to all the districts that they had taken back from our one-time COVID money. And we don't know how much, we don't know what the apportionment is to the district or quite how it's coming, but we should have details of that hopefully by the 45-day revise. There is this, it's called the Student Support and Professional Development Discretionary Block Grant. It's a discretionary block grant, and it was approved and signed into law, and it is good news. It's based on the average daily attendance. We didn't know it might have been approved in a different sort of LCFF allocation. Again, we don't have the amount per se, but we expect it to be significant enough that it quite likely will help with not having $2 million reductions each year. We don't know how much yet. So we'll bring that at the the 45-day revise. And then the last area was for what they call universal TK. The governor did, and the legislature agreed to add some money to what we call the LCFF TK dollar amount, because, for K through 3, 4 through 6, 7, and 8 get different amounts. But for TK, he had asked to give extra to help compensate for, we went from 12-to-1 ratio of adults to students to a 10-to-1 ratio. So all the districts, including us, have had to increase the number of instructional aid support we have. So he did add more to that. So that'll change our LCFF allotment. So those 3 will be brought in August with some dollar amounts to sort of show the effect it could have on the ending fund balance. Now, looking to the federal budget, so I know there's been a lot of information and what's going on with the federal budget. So as far as what's happening with our education funding, we, based on what we know today, they are not providing us yet. They're freezing what they told us we would be getting for this fiscal year. So $440,000. It's for Title II, Title III. We're not going to get it right away. Like, they haven't said we're not getting it, and we don't know. But so what we're going to do is about 2/3 of that is already budgeted for the year, but we're going to hold back using the last third of it to budget out until we know more. But again, we might need to use some of that one-time money to help balance out what if we don't get money from the feds for these programs. I think the other main points are that what we discussed at the June board meeting remains the same. The state is running a deficit. They're balancing their budget with we have a deferral from June to July for some money apportionment to the districts. They're using a lot of different ways, the governor is, to balance his budget, and he's still running a deficit. We don't know again about our tax revenues in LA and Ventura County because those were delayed until October. So that's some unknowns. And really just, we as a district are facing deficits. It's an uncertain, challenging time, and we're going to just monitor it closely. And there'll be a more detailed report in August.
I wanted to add thank you, Diane. That was great and thorough. I think there's a few important points as we look down the challenges that we're facing, right? So over the next couple of years, based on the budget that was presented in June, even though that will evolve a bit, we were planning on the need to make $2 million in cuts each of the next 2 years, right? Which is a significant amount of our budget. I think that there's many factors that are going to shift as we come in, right, in terms of enrollment and attendance and new special ed costs that come in. So that number is likely to fluctuate throughout the year, but that's going to be an important target for us to hit. And I think when you look at what's taking place right now, the fact that the state is running a $12 billion deficit and they're using tricks to balance the budget, right? So they're doing cross fiscal year loans where they're spending money from next year in this year in order to keep us whole. And they've used all the rainy day fund money in this budget, means that next year, if there's a problem, there's nowhere else for them to go, right? And so then they'll have to make cuts. I think in regards to the federal freeze, right, that's money that goes to support our English learner students. It goes to support professional development for teachers and staff to better support our neediest students, right? So that's money that we really do need, and it's very impactful in our schools. I think the hard part is to freeze the money in June when we're required in March to notify employees of whether they have a job or not means that there's nowhere for us to go but to spend the money going forward. And so it will create an additional deficit if we don't get that money in. But I think more important than that money is that that's based on, the reason that they're freezing it is it's based on having to figure out for money that's already been allocated if they can pull it back. Every indication is next year we should anticipate much bigger federal hits. So if you take the combination of the state being in the deficit that it's in, right, and not having more tricks up their sleeve to really bail us out if they run into the same problems next year, the federal government wanting to cut education more, right? So the Supreme Court allowed the education department to be cut by almost 50% yesterday. That was a hearing that went out, and we've been told to expect more cuts to come. And we're looking at a $2 million deficit going into the year. I think one of the things that I just want to stress is that nobody's coming to save us, right? It's going to be incumbent for us to make sure that we're managing our books and getting ourselves to the place that we need to be whole, because we can't expect a huge windfall to come in and save us this time, is what I'm saying. That we just have to be very careful and very good stewards of the funds that we have going forward and make sure we protect ourselves. So I think it's not the most positive way to start a meeting, but you know.
Thank you, Diane and Dana.
It is.
Yeah.
That was information. The second 10.2 is enrollment update.
Presses. All right, thank you for having me for our enrollment update. It is fresh off the presses because we are enrolling rapidly right now. So what you have before you is our updated enrollment as of this evening. And we've enrolled 72 kids in the last week, which is good news for us. So you have, well, I'll let you get, it's okay. There we go. Okay, so you have our current enrollment. We ended the year last year at 10,336 kids, and we're currently at 10,139. That's typical for us because we always have a big 8th grade class that leaves, and then we have a smaller TK and kinder class that come in. And our school offices opened 2 days ago, so in that time we've enrolled quite a few students. We've enrolled those 72 kids in this last couple days. So that's a lot of students that have enrolled. We had 110 students that we enrolled over summer enrollment. That is up from last year, we only enrolled 68. So if that's an indicator, we are on a higher trajectory from last year. Our demographers said we would probably increase by 2% this year. So that shows that will probably happen. So just wanted to keep that in mind. We are keeping a close eye on TK. I know that Dr. Eaton shared that with you in the Friday email, that we did have to open another TK just on Friday. Thanks to IME for being so flexible with that. Already with having just opened that class, we are already still only have 34 spots in TK overall with just opening a new TK. So we are definitely enrolling a lot of TKers, which is great. So that is good news for us. And we're also keeping a close eye on second. We have only 25 spots in second grade. So that's a grade level we're keeping a really close eye on. We're also keeping a close eye on sixth grade. Right now we have quite a few spots in sixth. That is not what we anticipated given our historical trends and also with the developments that we have in the area. So we're keeping a really close eye on that. We want to make sure that we are staffing and keeping a good track of what we are doing there. So we want to make sure that we plan well for that. We do have a lot of interdistrict transfers that we could approve there if we need to. We also historically tend to have Last year, we had 45 kids that enrolled over the year, so we know that that can happen. Last year at this time, too, we had 30 kids that enrolled between this time and the first day of school. So having that much room is probably wise for sixth grade, but we're going to keep a really good eye on that. And I'll have more data for you when I come back next month. Are there any questions about enrollment?
Thank you, Kristen. That's an information item. It's good news.
All right, thank you so much.
Item 10.3, approval of updated board policy. This is an action item.
Yeah, so board, this is a policy that was asked to be reworded last time. So rather than going in the two-part process where it comes back as a consent agenda item, it's been brought back to as a regular agenda item. And you can see on the first page of the policy, there's some crossed out language in alternative text that's been provided to try to explain that in a more understandable way for our community. So happy to answer any questions or make any changes.
Should that be this portion applies as opposed to applied?
Present tense.
Yes, it should. We can make that change.
No, it looks good. It's understandable.
Yeah, much more simplified.
Yeah, the applies. You're right.
That's the English teacher coming out.
Yeah, no, you would just make the motion with the one grammatical
Oh, that's
change.
good. I wish I had that.
Some of the comments, I'll make a motion, we approve 10.3 with the changes that were commented, like the doctor, 10.3 updated board policy.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded with the updated board policy with the one change that we approved. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes 5-0. Moving to, are there any other items for the next board meeting?
And we'll come back with the 45-day revise and update on enrollment as well. It's after the start. But we're excited to get school kicked off for the 25-26 school year.
What's the bus stop?
Seems good so far. They've switched to the QR codes, and so they've been advertising in the paper. And so I think we have a meeting coming up where we'll get more, but we're anticipating it's going to hopefully be a smooth start.
And the only other thing I discussed with you real quick is he's going to try to have them do a story on the self-public.
Good.
Just so I think it'll save us a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Parents
Yeah.
know about it. So
Oh, with the press.
Yeah. Kirsten and I sent a draft to the press going forward for them to take a look at it with some information, and hopefully it is an important story to put out there. So hopefully they will, and we'll go from there.
Great.
So our next scheduled meeting is August 13th, 6 p.m. Thank you all who came.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and second to adjourn. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.